There's one final stop on the iRacing special event calendar, and it's here inside the Tulsa Expo Center that we get set to go racing for the 2023 iRacing Sim Motion Chili Bowl Nationals. Hello everyone, delighted to have your company here on iRacing Esports Network on RaceSpot TV. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, joined alongside by Joey Tebben as we get ready to duel on the dirt. And Joey, the iRacing special events are all about the diversity of motorsport, in my opinion. You can go from the high banks of Daytona across the globe around endurance racing, but we end things here inside with some rip-roaring dirt midgets.
And we start the year with one of the longest races, the 24 hours of Daytona. We go all the way through, all 365 days, end up in December with one of the shortest races. 10-second laps, sub 10-second laps in these dirt midgets inside the Tulsa Expo Center. It is going to be action-packed for the next hour or so, and then we're going to end this season. We're going to look forward to next year and do it all over again.
Indeed, the schedule for 2024 has already been released, but here's what we've been through in 2023, and I look back through all of this and just think, my goodness, how time flies. It's already December the 17th in part of the world, yes, and December the 16th in most of America, where most of our drivers will be competing across. Let's not forget, there is a Australian dirt contingent as well. Wondering if any of them are going to make the early wake-up call to join us for this one. So that's the schedule for what the drivers, and some of the drivers, may have done over the course of the calendar year. But what do we have in store today? Well, it all starts with qualifying before we work our way into alphabet soup. There will be 6 heat races where the top 3 will advance directly into the A main, and then a maximum of 4 consolation races where, Joey, if you start in that E main, you've got to work to the D main, the C main, and then the B main before you can hopefully make it to the main event.
It is an uphill battle, but we've seen people, especially in the real world, come from very, very deep in the bottom of the bowl of the alphabet soup and move all the way up. It's not like in English football where you've got to move up 5 layers to get into the Premier League and it's totally impossible. It is possible. If you're fast, if you can make passes, if you can cut your way through the field, you could move all the way up into the A main, and heck, maybe we could have the ultimate underdog story and have somebody advance all the way from the bottom to win this whole thing in a couple hours time.
Maybe not win, but I would not put it past anything to potentially see a bit of breakaways and runaways, and maybe podium spots may be up for grabs, albeit more realistically, maybe top 5s, top 10s. Joey and myself are not maybe the most experienced dirt commentators, but we do enjoy this sort of a race, and I think the thing that we are looking forward to seeing is these are cars, you mentioned 10-second lap times, but often, Joey, you're driving it almost on one wheel with 3 corners of the car in the air because of the power to weight ratio that these dirt midgets all have.
Well, this track is literally a circle, so lap times don't really matter, laps don't really matter, because they essentially all flow together. You're driving in a circle the whole time, and you're not really thinking about, oh, I've got 10 laps to go. You're thinking, I've got to get around whoever's in front of me as soon as humanly possible. I'm going to rip the top. I'm going to move down to the bottom, whatever's fastest. And you got to do it quick because you don't have much time to do it, especially in some of these heat races. Very, very short distances where you've got to make moves as soon as you can do it.
It's 400 horsepower in a 400-kilogram, 900-pound car. With a top speed of 143 miles an hour. Now, we don't necessarily get up to those sort of benchmarks when it comes to these sort of dirt facilities, but there are plenty of tracks where that is something that happens quite regularly. Drivers are out on track for the qualifying session right now. They get the track to themselves, and only 2 attempts to really work their way around, and so there's only so much we can do to try and pick our way through 48 drivers trying to qualify. We'll just watch those times come in on the left-hand side of the screen. Currently that number 10 machine on the provisional pole with a 9.662, and then you go through hundredths and thousandths of a second to go through the rest of the field as J.D. Brown springs his way to the top.
And you'll start to see some familiar names slotting in. Obviously, lots of new names, as this is an iRacing special event. Anybody can sign up. Anybody can race. You see Caden Honeycutt there, one of the stars of eNASCAR and real NASCAR all the same. You see Ethan Oy, who I believe won this event last year. You see Hayden Cardwell, who's been very successful in both iRacing and in real life in dirt racing. You see Biscuit Williams, who has the best name in dirt racing on iRacing right now, and many, many more who we're going to look forward to see tonight.
I'll be honest, I genuinely don't remember who won this race 12 months ago. It's been so crazy. I do remember who won in 2020. That was Logan Rumsey. It was my first experience of what this event is really about, and trust me, I enjoyed it. You were correct, by the way. The number 10 victorious in 2021. You look at the left-hand side of the screen, the very top, 9662 for JD Brown, and a dash next to Ethan's name. What does that mean, Joey? Well, it's something I've legitimately seen twice now in almost 900 broadcasts. Identical times in iRacing, all the way down to all the significant figures that they report.
Well, those are two drivers who have totally figured out how to drive around this little dirt circle in the Tulsa Expo Center. Ethan Oy winning last year. JD Brown, done a little bit of research on him, know that he has some experience in the real world and obviously tons of dirt experience on iRacing. Those are guys who know how to drive this track, and they're just dunking on the field right now. 65 thousandths over third doesn't seem like a lot, but here that is quite a lot of separation for those two.
Absolutely, that is a big margin. I was commentating on a race earlier today with Max Verstappen around the Nordschleife. 65 thousandths there. Now that's a different story. But around a place
how long was that lap time in total?
It's about 7 minutes 50 seconds, something like that.
So how about whatever 7 times 6 is, that's how much shorter this is?
Well, we're ready to go, and this is going to be fun. We haven't seen a repeat winner in the, at least, main event of the iRacing Chili Bowl Nationals. And here, powered by SimMotion for 2023, let's see if anyone can break that mark. Saw the lap time, and a bit of surprise maybe at how close it was, but it's JD Brown after a 9th place finish in 2022 that will lead us to the green in heat number 1. Alex Bergeron, king of the dirt here on iRacing maybe, rolls alongside Mason Kofi, and then Bryce Thomas share row 2 with Colt Curry and then Cam Brooks. We mentioned there might be some representation from down under. 27 sees the first car in that billing. Ethan Bill then is 7th along with Michael Giberson, and Biscuit Williams, oh that's a wonderful name, rides alongside with Stephen Gaines at the very back of what will be 10 cars in this opening heat of the night. And I'll point it out right now before we get underway. Joey, it's dirt racing, no matter whether it's rallycross, short course, or here on the dirt ovals. It's fast, it's furious, and frenetic. We're going to be moving through the course of the rest of the night.
We're going to be absolutely rapid fire, but I'm already looking at the back of the field here because we've got 2 heavy hitters up front. You know JD Brown and Bergeron are probably going to be pretty good, but look at Biscuit Williams, tons of experience. Look at Stephen Gaines to maybe make some gains. We could be in for a frenetic first heat here, and I'm so excited to get this started.
And so 3 advance from the first feature of first heat directly to the feature. I can get all my logic out correctly. It hasn't been that long of a day, Arjuna, but this is going to be wild. This is the most intense of the special events, in my opinion. It closes out what's been a blockbuster year for iRacing in 2023. That pace truck's going to peel off and away, and then 8 laps. That's all these drivers have to work through. They've got to stay out of trouble. All they need to really do is be in those front 3 spots. It's a great jump from JD Brown. Couple of cars launch over the berm, and instantly drama behind as Michael Giberson and Stephen Gaines will come together. Everyone else is safely through, but through turns 3 and 4, end of the opening lap. JD Brown scampers away.
No gains for Steven, only losses. Giberson's gone already, but it's only 2 miles of racing here. Blink and you're going to miss it. Mason Coffey up to 3rd early. He's done a good job to make up at least 1 spot, but if he wants to move any further forward, he doesn't have much more time to do it as we ride on board with Bryce Thomas.
You mentioned it as well. It's basically just one continuous turn for these drivers, all about maintaining momentum and trying not to get peeled off the apex, as Thomas has done here. Brooks alongside doesn't get it done.
This is for the transfer. Mason Coffey up in 3rd, about a second ahead of Bryce Thomas. This battle for 4th doesn't really matter. If Cam Brooks can get by and chase down Coffey in 3 more laps, that'll be big business for him in the transfer. But it might be too big of a gap already. 1.5 seconds in only half a mile. That might be too big of an ask.
I think it's done at this point. If Bergeron and Mason Kofi don't want to fight, they'll be able to keep each other at bay and just ride as they are, direct spots on their way to the feature. Look at all this fighting further back, though. There's more contact between Biscuit Williams, it seemed, and Ethan Bill, but here comes JD Brown taking the white flag, and it's going to be victory in the opening heats. JD Brown from pole position is now going to wait to see who joins him behind. Bergeron 2nd, and Mason Kofi, despite the brief blip on the timing, does indeed grab the 3rd spot as the first heat of the night comes to a close. Let's run you down then to the race results. Now, of course, 3 drivers advance, the rest get their chance through the alphabet soup to still work their way on forward, but it's no guarantee for them. Their finishing position also dictates which of those LCQ, the last chance qualifying races, they end up in. Ethan Oy, winner in 2021, 5th in 2022, and 2nd in qualifying. He'll lead us to the green in heat number 2 with Aiden Beerline alongside the ABR driver, with Dominic Schmidt and then Marshall Jacobs behind them, Tristan Ladaker, and then Wout Hoffman's 5th and 6th with a European making it into the field, staying up early to join the fun. Adam O'Brien, Jacob Halliday, Matthew Lindy, and then Jarrett Lieber at the back of the pack. 2 drivers we're familiar with, one from Rallycross here on RaceSpot TV, and the other one short course in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Ready to go already though, because like I said, Joey, it's fast, it's furious.
Aiden Beerline starting on the front row, very experienced in World of Outlaws sprint car competition on iRacing. Different competition here, midget racing versus sprint car racing. There's all sorts of debates on which one's going to be tougher for him, but I'm more concerned. What happened to Aiden Beerline A? If you look at our ticker, he's Aiden Beerline B. Where'd the first one go?
He was so good that he decided that he needed more iRating to add to the fun, and he is going to be on the outside and potentially in a spot to be potentially run out of the top 3 if he doesn't time the start nicely. But as heat number 2 gets underway, it is a nice tidy start from those at the front, but they tangle instantly, and sliding through to the lead is Dominic Schmidt. Ethan Oy is down in 2nd, Tristan Ladaker is in 3rd, Aiden Beerline sitting in 4th.
That's pretty shocking. The 2 favorites interlocking coming into the first corner. Dominic Schmidt kind of finds himself in an unlikely position in the lead here. How long can he hold on, though? He's got the defending champion behind him. I think I know what he's saying right now. He's saying, "Oi, I don't know what I'm going to do here."
Jarrett Liebert's had some issues. He came together with Wout Hoffman, and unfortunately, one of them is headed to the pit lane. The 17 rides at the back. 4 laps to go next time by. It's all about, again, the fight for 3rd position. As I mentioned, though, at the results, finishing positions for those outside of the transfer, it still dictates starting spots in the alphabet soup.
And Aiden Beerline trying to figure out where can he go. Can he move up to the top? Can he get down to the bottom? He can't really do anything, running basically an identical line through the corner to Tristan Ladaker in 3rd. It's just so early. The track hasn't really developed at all. There's not many places he can go. He has gotten down to the bottom in 1 and 2, though.
Not sure if we are going to actually see track resets. That's a major part, of course, of the dirt racing, the track evolution with this dynamic model that iRacing has, and it's been improved as they've worked on the World of Outlaws console game as well. There's going to be some contact as we run our way towards the line, but Dominic Schmidt's going to do enough to grab the win in heat number 2. Ethan Oy grabs 2nd, and Ladaker is going to grab 3rd. Aiden Beerline, unfortunately, drops out of contention in the very dying stages. We won't grab a look at the results for heat number 2. Instead, what we will do is directly go to the starting formation for heat number 3, where Ryan Hodge will lead us to green with Hayden Cardwell alongside, who's looking for start, and then Matt Hancock on row number 2 with Connor Darnell and Kane Morgan, 5th and 6th in this 3rd heat of the night. Caleb Durgan, Tanner Boland, Dylan Shreves, and then Chase Rogers round out the 10 cars. And I would just like to point out already now into the 3rd heat of the night that we are down to just 5 heats with 48 drivers in this field. One change that iRacing made on the Super Sessions is Joey. It's not just now open to those at the very top of the points, it's also open to everybody. There's an opportunity for them to go racing on a Saturday night.
Ryan Hodgepodge is ready to get going in that bright pink Tinder-sponsored car. He's doing the wheelies. He's getting things heated up. Hopefully he doesn't make a hodgepodge of this whole thing.
That's Cardwell, by the way, in that car.
Oh, well, boo hiss.
Oh, ready to go, though, for the 3rd heat already, and we've seen relatively, I want to say, little drama knocking on the wood around me. Is it going to be so clean as from up above we watch this launch? Cardwell makes a send. It checks them all up. There's a bit of concertina. There's a bit of helter-skelter skittles. More drama for Cardwell. He gets shoved out wide. They're 3 wide on corner exit.
This is anarchy in the Tulsa Expo Center. We were pretty well behaved in the first 2 heats, and now suddenly we get to heat 3, and everybody behind the front 2 says, you know what, we're going to go totally crazy here. Hayden Cardwell, he decides he's going to go crazy as well. Tanner Boland goes bowling into turn 3. It almost takes both of them out again.
Yeah, I know you love your puns, but that one was right there. I will give you that. There's, 2 cars in pit lane, maybe joined by more at this rate, given that Kane Morgan and Chase Rogers did have substantial bits of contact. Ryan Hodges runaway, I don't really have a pun to throw up here. It's Caleb Durgan on the back of Tanner Boland, as was mentioned, but with 4 laps complete, we are starting to see that dirt evolve as the line's not really moving around just yet. Just watch the color of the track itself.
Starting to shift up a little bit, and fans of British celebrity competition shows and the politics of the year 2020, don't be confused. That's not the same Matt Hancock. It's a different guy. He's got some work to do, though, because it is really stratified out here. Almost a second separating every single car, about 5 car lengths. There's not much you can do at that point. You've got to hang on. Everybody behind Tanner Boland saying, I'm ready to go into the alphabet soup. I'm ready to move. Yeah,
well, it is going to be victory for Ryan Hodge, who breaks away clear from those behind. Hayden Cardwell, Tanner Boland will cycle their way on through, but a dramatic third heat, that is for sure, comes to a close with a couple of cars heading down to the pit lane. Look at the race results, confirmation of the 3 that move forward and the rest that have to head their way in through maybe an E main, maybe a C main, not exactly sure where they are all going to filter on out. Let's run you down through the starting grid for heat number 4, Garrett Halsey, and then Caden Honeycutt with that number 2 car. Plenty of expectation for him with 7,900 I rating. JT Ferry, Joseph Johnson, 3rd and 4th with Bradley Cox, and then Dalton Wicker lining up behind them. Another 9-car field this time rather than the 10, excuse me. Tyler Baden, Tucker Holliday, and then Thomas Davison. Through the 9 cars that are already rolling once again, that is the type of excitement that we will continue to be in for. And that was a bit more of a chaotic start, Joey, I think it is fair to say.
And who knows if we'll see the same thing. Caden Honeycutt's used to chaos. His last asphalt race in the top 3 NASCAR series at Phoenix, that was one of the most insane races we've seen all year. Almost in consideration for the win in that Young's Motorsports number 02. So using all of that eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series experience to good use there, and plenty of dirt experience for that guy as well. He's going to be one of the favorites all night.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. We haven't seen a caution so far. I don't know if cautions are enabled in these heats. My assumption is probably not.
I don't think they are.
Once we get to the main event, then caution laps will not count. Just something to keep in mind, as it's a nice early jump by Garrett Halsey, and Caden Honeycutt doesn't really feel the pressure. JT Ferry slots back in behind, and as we filter out of turn 2 back towards the start-finish stripe, it's JT Ferry sat in 3rd.
It's the cleanest. Oh, well, I was about to say it's the cleanest start we've had all day, Arjuna. That's the first curse of the night. We've got Joseph Johnson turtled through turns 1 and 2, or turns 3 and 4.
It's hard always to tell which end of the track it is, and there's someone having to take major avoiding action to avoid running into the stricken machine. So JT Ferry still sat in that 3rd transfer spot. Bradley Cox is the one now putting the pressure on. Again, not even halfway through this. What is the 4th heat of the night? Only one more to go after this before we're into that alphabet soup, and the lines are starting to move. They've moved up a groove, and you can see, yes, cars are trying to dive down low. It's not working though the way they expect.
Bradley Cox just trying to do something different. That's all you can do in the heats. When you're on the back foot, you've got to do something different than the car ahead. You've got to try and build up your momentum somehow. But I think his best hope is actually going to be Caden Honeycutt and Ferry right here going at it. Honeycutt got in the wall a lap ago. These things don't have bumpers like the dirt late models he's used to.
No, absolutely not. But you can get away with a bit of argy-bargy. You just don't want to make a habit of it. One more lap to go next time by. Halsey looks good. Honeycutt might look good as well. Will Ferry try the move on this final lap?
He's going to think about it. A little bit of traffic for Halsey, but it's not going to be enough to do anything.
And so it is Garrett Halsey that grabs the victory. Caden Honeycutt going to be second and advancing on forward, and now we've just got 3 more drivers to automatically promote in towards the main event before we can find out which remaining drivers will fight their way on through. A look at the race results, and then we can take a look at the starting formation for the drivers already queuing up behind that iRacing truck, which is getting a bit of a workout today. Halsey, Honeycutt, Ferry moving forward. The rest with some work to do if they want to keep their hopes alive. It's Cody Parmley, Rico Robles alongside on the starting grid for the 5th heat of the night, and the reason why I'm stumbling over my words is because Rico Robles, the defending champion in the iRacing Chili Bowl Nationals, will be Ethan Irons and Chase Johnson behind them, and one of the cars in that iRacing livery is, of course, Colin Mitchell, Rowan Gill line up 5th and 6th positions with David Snook, Parker Leak, and then JD Laird through the rest of the starting formations, and the final drivers, Joey, that we'll see out on track today.
That last name, maybe not so familiar on the track, but very familiar off the track, Mr. J.D. Laird. If you ever heard of JDR Graphics, you've seen that on so many cars on iRacing. That's that guy. I think we should give him a transfer spot just from giving us so many beautiful paints. Always differentiable by the commentators as well, by the way.
True.
So he's my advancer.
Are we giving him a provisional?
I would give him a commentator's provisional, but they don't give me that power. I would have.
Okay.
I mean, I would have given Biscuit Williams the win because of that. So maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, we're not. You would abuse that power. That is for sure. One more heat. What do you think these drivers have been watching on and seeing how the track's been evolving?
They're all moving up just a little bit, but I think they're all saying, let's have a cleaner start than we saw in the last time. We don't want to be turtled in turns 3 and 4 this time.
It's a bit more equal on the front row, and Rico Robles along the outside groove, almost on the berm, is going to slot back alongside and now cut back underneath for the lead. It's Parmley versus Robles. Behind it's Irons versus Johnson in what is probably the more important of the fight for the third and final transfer spot to the main event.
At long last, we've actually got a fight for the transfer in one of these heats. Johnson up on the top in that iRacing colored midget. Rowan Gill, Ethan Irons trying to throw something in there. He's actually going to fall back and start to fight for 5th with Parker Leak. Look at Rowan Gill ripping the bottom, just can't get the run off.
Oh, that was, I believe, Parker Leak who went a little bit sideways, not necessarily the way you were meant to go. And while this is great for the third and final transfer spot, Rico Robles and Cody Parmley keeping each other honest. Ethan Irons leans almost on Chase Johnson as they run their way back to the line.
Haven't seen any interlocking of the wheels because Irons just hasn't really been able to get close enough, but look at him moving all the way up to the top in 1 and 2, ripping the cushion, then in 3 and 4, moves down to the bottom, puts a wheel up over the table on the inside. It's done him very well in 3 and 4, still just can't get by.
Got one more lap to go. Is it going to be a bit of a last lap dash? Oh, Ethan Irons bounced over the berm on the inside, opens him up to the charge from Rowan Gill from behind. Final lap doesn't really matter when it comes to Cody Parmley and Rico Robles. They're both moving forward. Last lap send from Irons. It won't be enough. Johnson does enough.
He tried the slide job. Unfortunately, it was a little bit of a slide half shift. Only made it about 4 hours. Didn't make it to the end of the day. He's gonna have to fight back now.
So, ready to go for the alphabet soup, and I think because of the fact that we've got a slightly smaller field than expected, we skipped the E-main, just like we skipped heat number 6, and these drivers slightly further behind might now be featured in the D-main. Ethan Bill, Matthew Lindy, Dylan Shreves, Tyler Baden, David Snook, and then Michael Giberson line up in the first 3 rows before Wood Hoffmans, and then Kane Morgan, Joseph Johnson, and Parker Leak round out the top 10. And we add in a couple more cars, of course, as well. Stephen Gaines, Jarrett Liebert, and Chase Rogers. 13 drivers fighting for what still should be 4 spots, not in the main event, Joey, in the C-main.
Well, I feel about half the name we just listed there, Arjuna, ended up upside down at the end of their heats, so things can only go up from there.
You mean right side up?
I guess.
I was trying to make a pun. It wasn't very good, I know.
You tried.
I tried, just because you're here, unfortunately. 4 move forward from this one. There are also more cars on track, which therefore means, I'm just going to say it right now, it's not a commentator's curse, there's going to be more chaos.
Oh, there will. That's just a guarantee. When you're in the Tulsa Expo Center, it's something in the air, and it's not just the carbon monoxide poison.
I was going to say there's a lot in the air. Tension is only one of them. Cars already peeled off into pit lane. Not sure who that was, but Wood Hoffmans I don't think will take the start. Good jump from Ethan Bill. Oh goodness, what even are we seeing? It's a great jump at the front, yes, but side by side and almost contact for 4th position.
I think that was Mr. Hoffman's trying to act like he was out in the parking lot doing a little bit of a drift display, but he's been taken care of. Well done, everybody, making it through after a couple of interlocks. They're still doing well. Ethan Bill clean out in the front, but the transfer 1 spot lower now. Top 4 move on, and this is very important as Tyler Batten gets out of shape in 1 and 2.
We will also at this point start to add some laps into the mix. It was 8-lap heats, it's 10 laps, was meant to be 10 laps for the E-main, it's now 10 laps for the D-main, so it'll be 12 for the C and 14 for the B if my assumptions hold true. Here come the lunges though, and there's the contact. It's all behind, and there's the skittles that you expect.
Parker Leak hard into the wall again. David Snook as well, or is it Snook? I don't know. I'm not Welsh enough to know the difference.
Ooh, who is the most Welsh person on iRacing? That is a good question. Bobbles into the wall. Joseph Johnson, Tyler Baden, and Dylan Shreves all getting involved. Chase Rogers says thank you very much. He's 8 positions gained and now into a transfer spot to the C main.
And Joseph Johnson ended his heat upside down. He had to tow back to the parking lot to get that thing back in the race. And he's up in the transfer position now, comfortably over Chase Rogers. This is why you never stop fighting. This is why you keep racing, and that's going to be a great story to see Joseph Johnson moving forward.
And that's why, in the immortal words of the Soulsmith Rick Astley, never going to give you up when it comes to fighting out on track.
Don't do it.
Oh, I had to slide that one in there. One more lap to go, though, here. It's Ethan Bill, who jumped away at the front, and let's be honest, has never really looked back. He'll take the win in what is the D main. There's still some work to do, though, to get to the main event. Lindy, Johnson, Rogers do enough to get on through as well, but they'll be starting down the very back of the starting formation, and as the rest of the drivers trundle their way to the end, a bit of argy-bargy to close things out just as they started. Let's take a look at the race results. We say goodbye to all but the top 4, so Giberson, Liebert, Morgan, Leek, Shreves, Batten, and then Snook and Hoffmans. We unfortunately will no longer see them in this 2023 iRacing Sim Motion Chili Bowl Nationals. And so now as we go to the C main, add 2 more laps into the mix. Still 4 cars moving on into the B main, not to the main event. But Bryce Thomas, Jacob Halliday, Connor Darnell, Thomas Davison, Colin Mitchell, and Biscuit Williams all in relatively good spots. And then Adam O'Brien, Richard Murtaugh, Dalton Wicker, JD Laird, and then those that advance from your D main, it will be Ethan Bill, Matthew Lindy, Joseph Johnson, and Chase Rogers at the back of the 14 car formation, which is getting ready to go, I can confirm, Joey, for 12 laps of racing.
A whole dozen. I've been getting some help in the background. We've got Terry Radford sending us some information. He's very stalled within the dirt community on iRacing, whether it's the late models, whether it's the World of Outlaws and the sprint cars. And you'll notice that Jacob Halliday on the front row doesn't appear on either of those 2 entry lists. He's kind of coming up from the outside, competing with some of the top level of dirt racing. Unfortunately, as I say that, he hasn't gridded up, and we won't see him in this dozen. That's terrible luck.
He just had to say something. Regardless,
I cursed him.
It means not Connor Darnell. Thomas Davison will be promoted now up to second as the outside row gets the instruction to move on forward. I don't know if Jacob Halliday was actually ready to go. He was having some technical issues, and so that's, I think, the result. Unfortunately, not making it to the start. Track still moving around, but I don't necessarily know if drivers have figured out exactly what they want to do in these races where it's more action-packed. Once we get, I think, to the A main, those at the front know exactly what they want to do.
Yeah, they'll have done enough learning by now, but you've got to look throughout the field here, and the most laps that anybody has done in this field is 20 so far. That's not a lot of experience. Obviously, they've practiced, but not much more than that.
Here we go for the C main instant challenge for the lead. Bryce Thomas tries to slide his way on forward. Thomas Davison tries to take advantage of being promoted up to second in the starting formation, and he's got the lead. He slides his way on through at the end of the opening lap.
Yeah, with Jacob Halliday not showing up on the front row, it was in fact a happy Hallidays for Thomas Davison. Got given a little bit of a gift there, and he's running away with things. Bryce Thomas up in the wall, falls apart behind one of the A-beams, and he might be in danger of losing the transfer spot soon.
Adam O'Brien, Matthew Lindy, and Biscuit Williams all mixed up in stuff, and now JD Laird, the latest one to get tangled. Another driver gets all sort of cattywampused up. Bryce Thomas drops out of the top 4.
Richard Murtaugh, Dalton Wicker, and who else but Joseph Johnson in contention now. Ethan Bill, the winner of the D main. He's doing a reverse chili bowl. He's doing an illick.
There's a slide job. There's a mistake again from Ethan Bill. Thomas Davison's broken away at the front of this one, and we've still got 6 laps to go. We're only halfway through this race. 2 more laps to be added as we work our way to the B main, where a couple of drivers, of course, will work their way forward to the A main.
This right here, the battle for third. Connor Darnell on the 25 on the outside. Richard Murtaugh on that black 18 gets through. This battling's very important because you see the hunter behind it, Joseph Johnson. He wants to move forward, and he only needs 1 more spot to do so. Needs a little bit of help, I think, from some racing in front, though.
This is a pretty cool shot. It's bit of a perspective of what it would be like if drones could keep up with these machines, and I say that because they are going at speeds in excess of 80 miles an hour for around vast majorities of the track until they slide and shed some of that forward momentum for lateral momentum. 2 more laps to go. Darnell still under pressure though from Joseph Johnson. This is where the eyes are focused.
The inside in turns 1 and 2. He's got the nose to the inside. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two of them. That's going to set Johnson all out of shape. That may have been his shot, and he may have used it up, being a little bit too aggressive.
At the front of the field, Thomas Davison has taken full advantage of being promoted up to the second starting spot and winning in the C main. 1 more race for him to go to advance to the main event, but he brings with him Colin Mitchell, Richard Murtaugh and Connor Darnell. Instantly, the drivers will shift their attention towards this B main. 14 laps of racing, and those final spots in the main event are finally up for grabs. Confirmation of the results then. 1 second, the margin of victory for the driver out of the UK and Ireland over those behind. But goodbye, unfortunately, to Johnson, to Rogers, Thomas, Wicker, Laird, to Bill, as well as to Williams, O'Brien, Lindy, and Halliday. For the penultimate time today, let's run you down trackside to the starting formation, where it will be Colt Curry and Aidan Beerline on the front row, Caleb Durgan, Bradley Cox, Ethan Irons, and then Cam Brooks lining up behind them in the front 3 rows. Marshall Jacobs, Matt Hancock will share the 4th row of the grid with Tucker Halliday 9th, Rowan Gill in 10th, Thomas Davison and Colin Mitchell 11th and 12th positions for them, and then Richard Murtaugh and Connor Darnell at the very back of the field. Now, because we have had one heat stricken off the agenda, it does mean it's not just 2 spots in the main event on the line here. Instead, you add the 3 from that missed heat, and suddenly, Joey, 5 spots in the A main are up for grabs.
They're just trying to make everything crazy out here, Arjuna. They're trying to make us fight for every spot.
Well, what are you expecting then? Do drivers even know that there's 5 spots up for grab? They'll only know if they're watching in the iRacing's UI session as the heat got skipped.
Yeah, you better hope you've either got the stream up or you've got somebody telling you, hey, you're advancing. No, you're not advancing. You need that info. There's not much info to be had here when you're just sitting behind the wheel of a midget.
Here we go. Aidan Beerline slightly caught out by Colt Curry as the B main gets underway, and now Beerline has to go defensive as Caleb Durgan goes very, very low. They're 3 wide on the run down the back straightaway. Curry holds on. Durgan still on the outside line, and as there's contact behind, Thomas Davison goes around. It's Curry on the outside that still dominates proceedings.
Some excellent stuff from Caleb Durgan. He's probably thinking like it's Leif Erikson day. Hinga-dinga Durgan going to the front and taking the lead away from Colt Curry, or at least trying to fight for it as he rips the top. And Caleb Durgan is going to take the point.
It's really interesting, the 2 dynamics that you got going on between those drivers, 1 up high, 1 down low, and then Aidan Beerline counter-running them in the middle. All sorts of tongue twisted there because Colt Curry got out of sorts, and it's caused chaos behind. The timing screen's going crazy because it's trying to figure out where everyone is. Ethan Irons, Colt Curry, Aidan Beerline, Marshall Jacobs, the 4 behind Caleb Durgan.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on anymore, Arjuna. I'm just getting confused because I thought Colt Curry was what's in my fridge after a takeaway night.
Oh man, that is maybe the worst one you've ever come up with, Joey. Can I just say that?
I can't believe I said takeaway in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I mean, you've said
they're gonna skewer me for that.
You've said quite a few British things, haven't you? Here's a look. Can we try and dial up what happened in this one? Because yeah, I have absolutely no idea.
Let's see. You see, there's some cars, and there's some tracks, and there's some flipping. That is basically what I think I expected from this. With those additional spots on offer, everybody was going to get more aggressive, everybody was going to be fighting harder, and everybody was going to be going a little bit more chili bowl crazy. So we've certainly delivered on that.
We haven't really had a flip counter, but we surely could have been adding to it there. That is a guarantee. It's 14-lap B main. We're more than halfway through that. 5 to go at the line last time by. It's still Durgan that leads, 2 seconds clear of Irons with Curry, Beerlines, and Jacobs in pursuit.
And Marshall Jacobs, kind of having a quiet day, moving forward, started 7th, currently 5th. I believe made up 2 spots in that giant cloud of cars, and he's actually showing some good speed here behind Beerline. getting aggressive. He's showing that it's no fluke that he's up here in the top 5, and there he is to the inside of Beerline, down in the bottom, making good momentum.
It's not a bad look, I tell you what, and it's starting spots in the feature on the line here. Beerline knocks the right rear in as he done the car. Is there damage on that 22? Surely not. It didn't look like that hard of a hit. It just seemed like a bit of checked up momentum, and now back up to speed.
Should be pretty safe. Davison behind, couple of car lengths too far back. I think that's total safety for Beerline.
And it's Caleb Durgan that wins in the B main. He salvages a spot in the main event along with Ethan Irons, Colt Curry, Marshall Jacobs, and Aiden Beerline. The main event grid is now set, and we will get a brief intermission for these drivers who have been watching on from the sidelines, Joey, after transferring directly from their heats to now get a brief opportunity to dial themselves into the track.
You mean we're going to have a break from the absolute freneticness of the last half hour or so? I didn't think that was ever going to happen.
Yes, I don't have to be clicking so many buttons as I try and bring up the grids and the results, because to break the fourth wall, it's just Joey and myself on this broadcast. We don't get a producer. We've left that responsibility with me, unfortunately. And so if we're missing stuff, hashtag blame Arjuna. Let's take a look at the race results, though, from that B main. Durgan, Irons, Curry, Jacobs, Beerline, as mentioned, all moving on forward, with, unfortunately, Thomas Davison just missing out, and by only 0.6 of a second in terms of time. Connor Darnell, Richard Murtaugh, Tucker Halliday, and then Rowan Gill, the rest of the top 10, before you get to the Bradley Cox, Cam Brooks, Matt Hancock, and Colin Mitchell section. Some of those involved in some of the tangles that we had slightly earlier. So that was the look at the results for the B main, and so now it is 20 drivers that get themselves, well, like I mentioned, Joey, their final opportunities to dial themselves into the track.
Get yourself a little bit of practice here. I think the optimal thing to do, Arjuna, would not be to go out on track right now and get some practice. I think you want to go back behind the garage area, go out into the expo, and get yourself a Tulsa Expo Center corn dog or something. I think that's what you need to get yourself ready.
I think we need a corn dog to get ourselves ready. You see, there's 3 minutes left in the session. Really interesting perspective that we can jump on board with now and see Rico Robles, defending champion of this race, of course. He's going to have pretty good perspective, I'm sure, of what it's going to take to be victorious here. And this, I think, is pretty good insight as well, how you can race some of the drivers around you. You don't get that opportunity necessarily when you're practicing by yourself.
And Rico really liking the bottom here, really testing it out, entering so low, sliding up just a little bit. You see a little bit of a wheelie from some interlocking up further ahead, but Rico seems very, very, very strong wherever he needs to be. He ran the top in his heat. He's trying to run the bottom a little bit more here in practice, getting the wheel off the ground at the top. He's going to be strong. He could very well win 2 in a row here.
And again, that would set a bit of a history mark as well, given that we haven't seen that just yet. This is also a really cool perspective of that pit lane on the inside of the track, of course, because these cars do need to put enough fuel in, even with the caution laps not counting, to make sure that they are good to the end in terms of the expected dramas that we will see. You can also see just how slick the track really has become now from some of these shots that we're seeing.
I do have to say, this is easily on my dream list of racing events I want to go to. This is the main reason I want to go to Oklahoma. I want to go to, it's not going to happen this year, but I need to make the Chili Bowl happen in the near future. I need to be there.
Well, this is the sort of perspective that one might get if you were a fan at the Chili Bowl as we jump into the stands itself. I mean, have you been to a dirt race, Joey?
I have been to dirt races.
Okay.
I've been to Bridgeport Speedway in New Jersey. This is very different, though.
Well, the reason I bring that up is as someone who grew up in Singapore, where there's not space for a dirt track, and I know that seems silly, but I promise you, they barely fit a Formula One track in for 3 weeks every year. You can't really put too many other racing facilities. Beside that, though, not really a culture of dirt racing. And so until until this May, I had never gone to a dirt event, despite having commentated on a couple of iRacing World of Outlaws events and every single one of these iRacing Chili Bowl Nationals. I've got to say, there is nothing quite like it. The dirt flying in your face, the experience of just the fast, frenetic racing that we're seeing now, apart from some of the track prep that you see as well. It's crazy. And you talk about wanting to go and get a corn dog. Well, you get your corn dog, Joe, you better eat it quickly, because these midgets are going to send some dirt into the stands to season your corn dog.
I mean, with some of the drama we saw in some of those heats, I think I'd be going in for the bite of the corn dog, and then I'd be choking. We don't want that. We don't want the Heimlich maneuver. We don't want the old digger coming out to give me the Heimlich maneuver in the grandstands.
Maybe not, but you never know. People have their preferences. Ethan Oye is in that number 10 machine and has been waiting for quite a while. He's going to be starting in 7th position, the 2021 iRacing Chili Bowls national winner, the 2020 winner, Logan Rumsey, the only driver that I don't think is in the field here today with a win already, and so there is opportunities therefore for a couple of drivers to come out on top. Short time before the warm-up session comes to a close. Joey, who are you fancying in terms of your pick right now?
That's a very good question. I'm distracted by Jim's Coney Island hot dogs over there, so I'm thinking somebody named Jim is gonna win. Unfortunately, I don't think we have anybody named Jim left, so I'm gonna go Ethan Oye versus Rico Robles. Photo finish, tied at the line. Both of them get the win.
Interesting. They both have some work to do in the starting formation here for the 2023 iRacing Sim Motion Chili Bowl Nationals, the final of our special events, and boy, is it a special one that really has to be experienced to understand what it's all about. We've never seen a repeat winner. 2023 might be the year that changes. It'll be JD Brown, though, that leads us to the green alongside Dominic Schmidt, Ryan Hodge, and Garrett Halsey behind. Drivers that have been waiting quite a while for their chance to go racing for 55 laps, of racing action. It'll be Cody Pomley and then Alex Bergeron, the king of dirt here on iRacing, lining up on the third row of the formation with Ethan Oye, Hayden Cardwell, Hayden Honeycutt. You can tell it's been a long day. I'm getting myself all sorts of tongue twisted. And then Rico Robles, defending race winner, on the outside of the fifth row. Mason Kofi, Tristan Ladisor, 11th and 12th for the two of them before you get to Tanner Boland and then JT Ferry, Chase Johnson, and Caleb Durgan, the first driver to advance on forward from one of our LCQ races. Of course, Ethan Irons, Colt Curry, and then behind them, Marshall Jacobs and Aiden Beerline with some work to do. I'm excited about this one. I'm getting ready for this, and there's nothing quite like the tension of sitting behind the wheel of one of these cars right now, Joey, and getting dialed in for the race.
I hope you're ready. It's the longest race of the day. 8 laps in the heats, 12 laps in some of the alphabet soup, now 55 laps of racing. You might think that's a lot. It's just over 10 miles, but it's going to feel like absolutely forever. And there's going to be some endurance required. There's going to be some survival required.
We will see cautions in this one without a shadow of a doubt. The question is going to be, how do they impact the race? Ready to rumble. It's a duel on the dirt. It is the 2023 iRacing Sim Motion Chili Bowl Nationals underway, and already a good jump from JD Brown. It's those behind that are scrambling for positions. Couple of cars hopping onto the berm and trying to run down low, but the first of 55 laps is clean and green.
Love to see it. It's no wonder these guys made the A main. It's no wonder these guys are some of the best in the world. They're almost 3 wide, coming off 3 and 4 there, and the caution comes out for the first time. I think Tanner Boland may have been involved.
Indeed, it does seem to be the number 31 machine that comes to a crawl. Now, timing on our left-hand side does seem to actually be working, and right on cue, there it stops working. It is something, when these caution laps do not count, something we're just aware of. We'll see if we can cycle up a replay of what happened there with Boland, but this is the stop-and-start nature of now, something that the drivers are going to be dealing with.
Yeah, it's very hard to get a rhythm going, especially in the early stages when there are so many cars so close together on track. Eventually there's going to be a little bit of trouble. Eventually there's going to be a little bit of contact, and eventually you do tend to get those early yellows. But Tanner Boland, I'm shocked that he made it up here after he had some trouble early on, but he fought back. He's here, and now he's just going to have to fight back again in the next 52 laps.
He's got some time to do so as well. That's the other thing. This sort of a race, it is going to be very, very stop and start. Let's take a quick look down below at the replay, as I think we're getting ready to go back to green quite shortly as well. But it's just a little bit all of a cluster as they come on through, and it's just, you can see how tentative they're all having to be until finally things would come unstuck. Back to green, though, for the Chili Bowl Nationals. 2 laps complete under green. JD Brown gets us back going.
And you'll notice that those defending champions we mentioned as the favorites, Ethan Oye still down in 7th, Rico Robles still down in 9th, Honeycutt and Cardwell deep in the field as well. You've got some big names, some new names up in the top half of the field, in the top 5, but they're going to have some company soon.
There are only 4 drivers with current World Championship licenses that are competing in some of the World of Outlaws competition that we have here on iRacing on Monday nights in the field. The rest of them still maybe experienced, but not with that black stripe next to their name, and maybe less distractions in some way. Now, Oi's past Bergeron. Battle's still on between the two of them as they slide their way on forward. Parmley's making moves as well, trying to slip his way through on Ryan Hodge for what will be a podium spot.
I don't know where to look. It's all kicking off here. It's kicking off in the front. It's kicking off in the top 5. There is racing all throughout the field. Excellent track development here. You see down in the bottom, I think that was Cody Parmley ripping the bottom. Now up to JD Brown, sliding up to the top. Every lane is usable right now. It's great to see.
Ryan Hodge hit the berm quite hard, and he's going to hold on to his 4th position, but you're just noting the different lines that are starting to be run. JD Brown comfortable with his race lead. Ethan Oi's now up into 5th position, challenging Garrett Holsley for that spot. He's going to slide on through as well. That car's looking composed.
Driver's looking very composed too. Look at that perfect stuff through 1 and 2. Sticking the wheel on the berm just perfectly, and now he's thinking about getting to the inside of Ryan Hodge, who got into the wall there. Look at that camera. That's got to be a very tiny camera to install it there. Well done to our virtual camera ops.
Yes, this is the joy of sim racing. We can place cameras wherever we want. Now, we are about to do something quite scary. It's a 9-second lap. It's a 10-second lap when you're in qualifying, slightly slower in racing trim. But it does mean you get traffic quick. We're on to the 14th lap of 55, and the look from the roof cam shows that they're not just into the traffic yet, but give it a couple of laps or so, they'll be there.
And this is what's going to make or break your chance to win these Sim Motion Chili Bowl Nationals. You need to know how to deal with traffic, and you've got to hope you don't end up catching them in a bad spot. It's the way that in every form of racing, whether it's on dirt, whether it's on asphalt, road, or oval, the lap traffic giveth, the lap traffic taketh away. It's the old Shakespearean proverb, and it's always true.
Rico Robles is back in the field and struggling to work his way on forward as he battles with Mason Kofi. Ethan Oi's now up to 3rd position. He's been hard charging his way towards the front, and so you're seeing some of these developments from the drivers, all with open setups to dial their cars in. JD Brown feels the pressure for the lead, though, as they bump their way across the berm. Parmley looks alongside. Sideways they will slide. Traffic in front. Battle's not done just yet.
Cody Parmley still there, trying to roll the bottom. He's got that front left wheel up on the little table on the inside. He's got a nose ahead, he's got a whole car ahead, and now he's got almost a full car length ahead. First time all race long, we've got a new leader.
And it's an opportunity to now see what different lines JD Brown's going to run as we get ready to filter in towards that traffic. For now, Brown content to rip up high and just ride as he is. The one thing you always remember with these cars is just how hard they're working. This shot forward shows where those front tires are pointed.
I'm still trying to figure out where this camera is installed. It's like duct tape to the side.
It's magic.
It's magic. It's glue. It's magic glue.
It's easier when you don't think about it when it comes to certain angles in sim racing, but this is a sort of a place where you really want as many unique angles as you would want, and so we can ride around with this virtual drone cam as here we go into the traffic. They're fighting behind hammer and tongs, but it is Cody Parmley and JD Brown. A 2-horse race at the front as the caution flies, and it's Rico Robles.
Right as we enter the drone zone, it's all gone to trouble for Rico Robles, and seemingly he's the only car involved. Don't see anybody else in immediate trouble. Did he just end up getting involved himself, or was there a little bit of help from Coffee?
Here we go. It's a close look at the action as well. And there's lots of respect being given, and he just tips himself up and over.
Rico Robles, even the most experienced guys in the field, even the defending champion from last year, gets a little bit too aggressive on the entry, runs up over the berm on the inside, hops up sideways on the table, and tips over the table. That's just a terrible feeling, especially when you're halfway through the roll. You're thinking, well, I did this to myself. That's that over.
But it's the level of commitment that these drivers need, right? They have to be able to go for moves like that. You look at how Ethan's moved his way on forward, right? He's done it by being assertive, by being aggressive, and not hanging around when people half defend. He goes for moves and he doesn't question his decisions.
And now that Ethan's up here in that third car in line, he's got no gap to make up. He can just stick with those 2 leaders and make these moves. Ethan's the new favorite.
And so I think now, 30 laps to go, This is where you've got to go. JD Brown a little bit wide, but holds on to second spot. Ethan Oy can't take advantage as the first green flag lap back underway is in the books. Hodge and Cardwell fighting for 6th and 7th spots, a little bit further down than maybe where you'd expect. And it's really looking slick now when we see some of the conditions of the track.
Ethan, I mentioned he was moving forward, but Hayden Cardwell's done a good job of looking forward as well. He doesn't quite have as much time, and he has a lot more cars to pass before he can start fighting. If Ethan wants to get up to those front two, though, he does have to look rearward a little bit. No, he doesn't. He has to look frontward. JD Brown in the wall, and everybody piling in.
And Cody Parmley's able to scamper away and say, my car's clean, I've got no concerns. It's a big shame. These cars are tough, so hopefully there's not too much lingering and lasting damage. But it's straight back over to the replay that we will go to see what happened here. Brown rides the wall, and then helter-skelter cars coming in with no time to react.
Yep, it was JD just getting a little bit too high up, riding a little bit too close to the wall, and those rear tires are bigger than the front tires. It's easy to kind of lose perception of where your car is. Rode up on the wall, flipped himself over, and Ethan Oy had a code brown, and everybody else behind just basically had nowhere to go. It was a full track blocker.
It was indeed. Where are the rest of the drivers then cycling behind race leader Cody Parmley? Dominic Schmidt, Ryan Hodge started 2nd and 3rd, back up to 2nd and 3rd. Hayden Cardwell's up 4 positions to 4th, and I think now is a major contender, having seen him make some physical moves in the iRacing World of Outlaws Championship Series over the years. Pace car back off and away, and it was a brief blip between cautions, hopefully a bit longer this time by Ryan Hodge, just trying to get past Dominic Schmidt immediately. Not going to be able to peel himself in towards that 2nd spot. Cardwell's going to try and match himself onto a podium position.
Cardwell's trying to get to the inside, trying to get to 3rd. He's going to be a little bit too far back to think about that right now because Ryan in the 16 is trying to get the heck out of Hodge, and he is looking for 2nd. All of that going on up front, while everybody else, Hulsey, Coffey, Honeycutt, and Durgan, lots of guys who started at the back, suddenly they've got a shot at the top 10 and a shot to move their way forward.
It's going to be an intriguing one as to if they fight behind. We've only got about an estimated 4 minutes of racing for the next 20-odd laps to go. Cody Parmley could be allowed to run away, and we could be ready for another unique winner in the history of the iRacing Sim Motion Chili Bowl National. Cardwell still working on the back of Ryan Hodge. It's Hulsey and Kofi siding side by side for 5th and 6th positions.
Everybody's still throwing everything at this. I think you saw Caden Honeycutt in the previous lap getting into the wall. You see the slide job thrown by Mason Coffey through 3 and 4. He gets up to the high lane. But look at Hulsey, look at Durgan, 3 wide into 3 this time.
Caden Honeycutt provides a great camera car for us as he rides in 8th position. You can hear the patience on throttle as well as he is in his own fight with Alex Bergeron behind him and trying to work on forward. Contact between the two black and blue. The dirt midgets, it's going to allow potentially Honeycutt to close the margin once again. It's getting more intense with every lap as well because there's less time to work your way forward if you get hung out to dry.
Under 20 laps to go. That means under 5 miles to go. But Alex Bergeron, I think, ends up in one of the supporting pillars of the Tulsa Expo Center, and that's going to bring out our next caution.
It was indeed Alex, and it is now, I've lost track of how many cautions. It's either the 3rd or 4th, but they stack up, they interrupt the driver focus, their mentality. Let's see what happened to him, though, in that all-black entry. Oh, he hits the wall by himself.
That's a perfect place to lose it, though, because if he just took a hard right there, he could have driven straight back up to pit lane up there on the 2nd floor. But yeah, just a little bit too far out in turn 2. Does exactly the same thing that JD Brown did a couple of laps ago, and by the time you're kind of ridden up the wall like that, there's very little you can actually do to save it. The only solution is not hitting the wall in the first place, but I personally have never learned that lesson.
You mean you haven't hit walls before? Because that's regular stuff for me when I jump into the sim.
I think most of my laps at the Chili Bowl in a session on iRacing have ended upside down.
Oh, we're actually talking Chili Bowl. No,
yes.
The first time I tried the Chili Bowl in one of these dirt midgets was in VR. Never again, unfortunately. I am scarred for life. Doesn't mean I don't enjoy it, trust me. I'm here with bells on for every single one of these Chili Bowl Nationals at the end of an iRacing special event calendar. Once again, Ryan Hodge tries to take advantage on this restart, but it's going to open him up to Hayden Cardwell once again. Cardwell matches himself with a podium spot, but it's not done. He's going to have to slide his way on forward. 16 to go next time around.
It's great to fight for third, but only one driver's going to get that virtual golden driller at the end of it all. Caution's back out. There's big trouble for Dominic Schmidt under yellow.
It was as the caution flew that he got tagged around and now ends up on his side. And I think that's going to be him done for the day.
He's turtled. You do not want to be turtled here. You need somebody to get out there and push him over, but that's not going to come as the safety truck drives by. You see no Dominic Schmidt on the track. That was very unfortunate for him, but yet again, turn 4 bites, gets turned around, and he's saying, "Oh, Schmidt, I'm upside down."
That wasn't the cause of the caution, was it?
I think there may have been 2 separate incidents. There may have been.
I thought the caution came out before he had his moment. So I think it may have been Garrett Halsey that had a brief moment that saw the caution come out. He's the only little blip that I see on the timing screen. And so let's quickly on the bottom of your screen take a look at this one. And so the blue and black car slides its way through the corner. That looks okay right now. And there, okay, there's the moment of the caution.
Yep, 2 separate incidents, both with bluish teal cars. It's a very popular color in the field. It has not been a very good luck color for the field.
Apparently not. Parmalee back on the power though and back underway with what will be now 17 or 16 laps left to run in the 2023 iRacing Sim Motion Chili Bowl Nationals. Cardwell's up to third, looking for second, Hodge up high and trying to defend.
Once Hayden Cardwell's up in the front of the race, you're not going to do very well to try and hold him back. Up into second, clear into second. Hodge falls back. Cardwell's only got 1 car in front of him. Unfortunately, that car's about 7 car lengths away.
And time is running out now. Mistake for Hodge. He slides out wide. They're going to fan out on the run in towards turn 3. And now bullied wide is Mason Kofi, I do believe, back onto the power and rumbling their way around with 12 to go. Cody Parmalee still leads by 0.6 of a second.
Time is running out, and this run's going to be so short that you're not going to deal with lap traffic. So this is Parmalee versus Cardwell, 1v1. Who can be the fastest over the next 10 laps? Parmalee's been absolutely picture perfect over the entirety of this feature. Not a single mistake ever since he's taken the lead. But he's got a lot more pressure behind him than he's ever had now.
These are some really cool shots that we get to see. The suspension moving around as the cars just work their way around the track. 10 to go will become 9 to go. Dominic Schmidt's had another issue. It hasn't brought the caution out, and that's exactly what Cody Parmalee wants to hear, because as each lap ticks away, less opportunity for those behind to close this margin, less time as well to run their way into traffic.
There is some crazy stuff going on in the middle of the field, though. There's a battle of the Ethans for 9th. There's a battle of Hodge versus Durgan for 3rd. There's every possibility that tempers flare one more time in the next 8 laps. You see Mason Coffey trying to rip the dirt off the wall. They're fighting for 3rd as if they're fighting for the win.
It's, I think, the realization that Parmalee's gone. They're not closing. 1 car down low, 1 car in the middle, and then behind. Cars willing to go up high as we cycle into what will be the final 5 laps of the Chili Bowl Nationals. Pressure being built from these drivers for 3rd. Hayden Cardwell's been trying. He's not been able to close for the race lead.
Mason Coffey in that gray car up on the top. He's been doing everything. He's been trying everything in the book. It just hasn't been working for him. You do love to see it, though. You love to see somebody trying something different. You love to see Tristan Ladouceur making a new track on the inside, trying to rip the bottom to get by Coffey.
These are some interesting lines being taken as the drivers just continue to figure out how they can slide their way around the ever-evolving track. 3 laps to go. 3 laps before Cody Parmalee writes himself into the history books. Margin out front's come down slightly, though, as Parmalee works his way through some traffic.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising. He is actually dealing with traffic, but that's Garrett Halsey on the outside. He's got a little bit of damage. That's checked up Parmalee just a little bit, and Halsey's still there on the outside. Parmalee's not been able to get by. If Cardwell could get up to the top, we could have a shockingly close finish on the final lap.
So much going on, but it's a new race winner. It's Cody Parmalee that's going to come across the line. The 2023 iRacing Sim Motion Chili Bowl Nationals champion. Yes, there was drama along the way, but this is always one of the funnest events of the year, and Cody Parmalee will celebrate in victory lane.
And for once, in a day where all of the tealish blue cars ended up upside down or in the wall, the one left at the end was the guy who was just totally dominant all day long, Mr. Cody Parmalee. I hope he comes back for the real Chili Bowl in a couple of months.
It would be fun. He came just short in 2021, finishing 2nd to Ethan Oy. He finished 8th in 2022, and now the 2023 iRacing Sim Motion Chili Bowl National Champ, Cody Parmley out of California, and 6/10 clear of a charging Hayden Cardwell, who tried but could not do enough. Caleb Durgan third, and you can see the margin, just how much of that fighting cost them time. Ryan Hodge and then Tristan Ladouceur, the rest of your top 5. Mason Coffey, Caden Honeycutt, Colt Curry, Ethan Oy, and Ethan Irons, the rest of the top 10, and only 7 seconds splitting them. Only a handful of cars still scored on the leading lap. Aiden Beerline amongst them, with Tanner Boland, Chase Johnson, and Marshall Jacobs included in that. JT Ferry 1 lap down, as was Garrett Halsey, with Dominic Schmidt, Alex Bergeron, JD Brown, and Rico Robles getting mixed up in various bits of drama. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. 2023, at least in terms of the special events, is now done and complete. And it's not without its fair share of fun along the way. And the best part of it all is the action never stops. New memberships are available on iRacing.com/holiday sale if you want to get in on the fun, and get in on the fun as we build towards the 2024 iRacing special event calendar. Some really interesting things being added to the familiar stuff that, Joey, we've already seen, of course. Knoxville, Crandon, and the Chili Bowl, some of the dirt highlights, of course, to note. But the Martinsville MX500, I think, is one that will be for the ages.
You read my mind with that one in the middle of the year. Before all of this happens, we do have the Chili Bowl Nationals in the real world starting in January, just a couple of weeks away, not a couple of months away. Didn't want to get anybody tricked there. But then we get fully into the virtual world. The Road America 500, that was new in 2023. Glad to see that back. And the Brickyard 400, back on the oval in the real world, back on the oval on iRacing as well. I'm looking forward to every single one of these, Arjuna, and maybe, just maybe, I'll finally get back behind the wheel and compete in one of them myself. We'll see.
What's also quite fun when it comes to some of these is the fact that you talked about going to the Brickyard. I'm looking forward to also the Indy 6 Hours, the road course, IMSA endurance race there. So much still to look forward to. And at the end of the day, there's still some TBDs. The MS charity event that's become a staple of the community. Who knows what that will be. Looking forward to seeing that. But Joey, the ride comes to a close, and now we can close up our book for 2023 and look forward to next year. As we look back on the journey, you've been a part of quite a few of these special events now. They're always such a good highlight. Being able to see new faces in some of the new communities and celebrating what iRacing is all about.
Yep, and I haven't been fired from the commentary booth.
Yet.
I haven't had any scandals.
Yet.
Everything's gone well, so I'm going to put this bowl of the chili in the fridge. I'm going to shut myself down for the holiday season, and we're going to come back for 2024. And you and I, Arjuna, we're going to team up for one of these special events on the track. I have a feeling it'll be in the booth for the other 40, 45 of them, however many total there were there.
You can get behind the wheel. I am going to refrain from forcing anyone to deal with me on track, because boy,
Arjuna to the Chili Bowl 2024.
That's a menacing prospect is what that is, I can promise you that. Regardless, what a ride it's been, and we'll be here on the iRacing Esports Network on RaceSpot TV next year in 2024 to do it all again, beginning, yes, on the high banks of Daytona, first for the 24, then the 500, but continuing around the world and across the motorsports disciplines. Thank you so much for joining us. For the team behind the scenes at RaceSpot TV, for Joey Tebben alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati, we sign off. We wish you happy holidays to you and yours, and we'll see you in 2024 refreshed and raring to go for another great year of racing action.